So, Sister Location, the game that took Freddy's to new heights as it launched in October 2016. The player dives into a new lore-rich pool of details that opens up more of what we haven't yet to see in the FNAF story. The player character, revealed later to be Michael Afton, enters Circus Baby's rental under directions from his father in order to find something. From the beginning, we find that something is amiss, as the entry from the elevator is covered in caution tape, implying sinister goings on within this facility. Mike is guided by the hand unit that has been labelled for him. The unit, however, seems to be acting against him and actively tries to get him killed on occasions. We learn that Circus Baby's rentals came into being following the downfall of Freddy's. Interestingly enough, within this secure bunker which holds the animatronics, it is seen that the suits are kept in check using a controlled shock, implying that this facility in some way or form knows the truth behind the animatronics and is taking steps to contain and control them. It is even more jarring to note that the facility is the first that we have seen that has noticeably visible active cameras in place, as well as the fact that there are motion triggers on most entryways to different sections, implying that if anything moves, the company wants to know about it. As night one mostly just consists of us zapping the suits within the facility, it can be inferred that the "don't hold it against us" teaser that we see may in fact be referencing the fact that the suits themselves are being tortured, and therefore they're asking us not to hold it against them for their actions that they will conduct, as they just want to be free. Now, as we return for night 2, we learn of the Angsty Teen, who is a voice option for the hand unit. Interestingly, he notes that a dead body was found in the vent once, and after observing Foxy, the voice appears to break down, and we can see, based on the blueprints that are present for the animatronics in this game, that Foxy may in fact have been in some way responsible for the Angsty Teen voice, as he uses voice mimicry as one of his features. Upon entering Circus Babies, where the power goes out, we also are noted that the facility appears to function much like a bunker, in that oxygen is in fact a system that is controlled via the main computer, and so this bunker can in its own way be sealed off from the rest of the world. There is also an unexplained motion trigger in the entryway vent when the power goes out, and this is never elaborated on, but it is possible that it is in fact the biddy bap, as a random Easter egg shows a biddy bap can be present on the elevator as you descend into the facility. Baby speaks to Mike, and she notes that she does not recognize him, and is curious as to why someone would willingly come to this place. She alerts him to a space under the desk in the room, which a previous user used as a hiding place. This may in fact give us a clue as to the true fate of the Angsty Teen, as in order for there to have been a body found in the vent, as well as the fact that his voice has been mimicked for use in the AI systems, it's entirely possible that the Angsty Teen was the one who carved out this hiding place and subsequently died within the facility. Baby would also go on to gain Mike's trust by informing him of the fact that the hand unit will tell him lies and attempt to have him killed. She then gives him instructions on how to survive the breaker room. In night 3, it is noted that there are malfunctions from performing in shows that require work, and so Mike is tasked with the need to remove a power module from Funtime Freddy. To do this, he passes through Foxy Auditorium and notably it is seen that Ballora has already been dismantled by this point. Foxy is also notably referred to as he or she across the different nights, again playing into the gender confusion regarding the character. The running trope of Foxy being in some way tricked by lights is again used here, as like how the flashlight in FNAF 2 could temporarily stun Foxy by overloading his circuits, it can be seen that using a flash beacon while passing through the Foxy Auditorium can momentarily stun Foxy, as he is apparently noted to be motion activated. While Mike is performing his repairs on Funtime Freddy, he is tasked with removing a power core, which is interestingly a small coin-sized disc with a flashing red light, which is removed from within Freddy's chest cavity. Interestingly, this is an awfully small device to be a power core that powers this entire massive robot. Also, it is noted that Bon Bon himself is carrying a secondary power module, it seems, yet we simply just deactivate him by pressing his button and don't appear to actually remove any power module from him. As Mike proceeds to leave the facility, he is captured by Funtime Foxy, and so he will then spend the next day trapped within a Springlock suit. Baby would reveal to us that she in fact kidnapped us, and notes that whoever operates the cameras in the facility noticed that Mike never left and the cameras are still searching for him. We see Ballora get scooped after supposedly having malfunctions, which are noted to be happening almost daily at this point. The spring suit in question that Mike is put into is noted to come from Baby's old pizzeria, which informs us that there was in fact a site for Baby prior to this one. Another interesting note is that the technicians are clearly nearby while Mike is trapped in the suit, yet he does not in any way seem to try to summon them to help him, and this may in fact be due to the fact that it is noted previously in the franchise that Springlock suits can, when worn, actually inhibit the ability to move certain parts of the body, or even being positioned in a certain way can prevent you from speaking. It is also notable that the spring suit in question is not any of the animatronics that we see within this game, so the identity is actually somewhat of a mystery. However, we can infer from the Scott Games source code related to this game that there is a schedule for suits, and animatronic 5 is listed as out of service and was booked for Chica's Party World, so this spring suit may in fact be the Funtime version of Chica. Baby would also express to us that she has learned how to pretend and opens the faceplates to allow Mike to be found. However, the one part of this segment that makes some slight lack of sense appears to be the fact that how do you wind up the spring locks while wearing the suit? Obviously this is just a game mechanic, but it can be inferred that Mike is simply trying not to trigger the spring locks in universe. It is also funny to infer that the minarinas appear to be climbing into the suit, but we know for a fact that these suits are actually quite tight-fitting on an adult person, and so, based on what we know from later in the franchise, it can be inferred that these minarinas are in fact climbing into Mike's mouth. So for some reason, Mike will return for night 5, despite everything that has happened so far. So why would he come back to this place? How do you explain away the incident with the Springlock suit? The company must know about the suits and their awareness. We learn that 2 technicians are still on site, and later we discover that they are in fact both dead. The hand unit doesn't seem in any way to notice or register this, and we continue on to send Circus Baby to the scooping room, who reveals to us that she is indeed still pretending, as when her empty endoskeleton gets sent to the scooper room, we can see briefly that her true endoskeleton form is lurking in the shadows behind it. Baby notes that something bad happened yesterday, and she doesn't want it to happen again. She wants to help so we can survive from destruction. She allows Mike to take a keycard to put in her hand unit to talk to him, and tells him that Ballora will attempt to follow him, despite the fact that this makes no sense as we saw her broken and scooped the night before. It is also notable that upon walking back through Foxy's auditorium now, the floor appears to make wet squelchy noises, which it never did before in the game. When Mike enters the scooping room upon Baby's command, it is revealed that this is in fact a trick, and Baby has now become Ennard, having taken a little bit of every body into itself, as per the teaser screen. Mike is then scooped by the scooper, and the animatronics use his body as a shell in order to escape from the facility. While the custom night gameplay for this game is not considered canon to the lore, but the surprise Easter eggs we get for completing it do appear to be, we get the lore that reveals that Mike's death does eventually occur from being used as a skin suit, and we can see that upon collapsing, having basically rotted away, he vomits up the animatronic which escapes into the sewer, but Baby, using some form of unknown power, allows him to survive. The source code from the Scott Games website would also go on to reveal to us that at some point in the future, Baby would be ejected from the Ennard amalgamation after a dispute with the other entities within it. We also get a cutscene where Mike talks to Afton, who is shown to be escaping from the fire of Fazbear Frights in FNAF 3. So this raises the question of why exactly would William send Mike to this facility? We can infer from the Immortal and Restless segments that the Afton family dynamic seems to be that Afton doesn't believe his son is his true son. He sends Mike to the bunker, which seems, based on from all available evidence, is a way to kill him, or he simply just sees him as expendable, performing whatever task he has him intended to complete. It's also interesting to note that Mike says he did it and he found it. It was right where you said it would be. Now, one would assume that this may in fact be him referring to the bunker, but it's not as if it was in fact hidden, as it seems to be very obvious that the facility is not exactly a secret. And so, what exactly is the it that Mike was sent to find? Could it be that small disc that we took that had no other explanation, which is never brought up again following Night 3? Mike also notes that they were all there and they didn't recognise him at first, but then they thought he was Afton. Who exactly are they is never elaborated on, although it could be inferred that he's referring in some way to the spirits, and that Mike is now in the know of what is happening within the Freddy's facilities. Mike goes on to note that he found her, aka Circus Baby, and that he put her back together. This mirrors the fact that Baby always seems to be the one saying this, as her father used to say it to her. He planned to put her back together, and so she would in some way adapt this mentality, as we have seen over the past 2 games so far. Now, based on the fact that Mike seems to know an awful lot about the Freddy's lore, and given that the monologue he has at the end shows us Fazbear's Frights burning, I believe that this implies that Sister Location itself, as far as the gameplay is concerned, is intended to occur around the same time as FNAF 3 in the timeline. So there is a secret room that we find within the bunker, which shows us that there is a Fredbear plush present, which somehow allows us to see that Baby and this bunker has a connection to the FNAF 4 lore. So, as this Fred plush is shown to be holding a walkie-talkie, it's entirely possible that whoever was talking to the crying child through the plush was doing so from this bunker. And also it makes sense therefore that the bunker existed in 1987. It is notable that by putting 1983 into a keypad found within this room, that the TV screens will switch to show us CCTV footage of various locations, which, as we've seen in the breaker room, are noted to be observation zones. The bunker itself appears to be connected to the FNAF 4 Fredbear's Friends site, the FNAF 4 Gameplays Mansion, and the plush trap corridor, which may in fact be Circus Baby's, as the close proximity of it to the rest of the bunker and the entrance may imply it is in fact in the same facility. Now this game goes some way to explaining the origins of Circus Baby, as when you enter Circus Baby's auditorium on night 3, despite not being prompted to, she will tell of the only night that she was in use at her old pizzeria. So we can see that Circus Baby was designed in such a way which led to her killing a young girl during her premiere outing. It is also revealed that this girl is in fact the daughter of the creator of Baby. This would go on to explain the cancelled due to leaks teaser that we got for the game, which goes on to explain that following the event that allowed Baby to become possessed by the young girl, we find that Circus Babies never officially opened after this and was in fact swept under the rug and kept quiet. It is also interesting to note that Circus Baby's eyes noticeably change from blue to green following her possession. We also learn that the creator of Baby and the girl's father is indeed William Afton, as we get a short audio cutscene where it is shown that he is presenting these new animatronics to a board of directors, it appears, and is being questioned and interviewed over their unusual design choices. Another teaser which offers an interesting insight into the franchise is the one that notes that there was never just one in relation to Sister Location. Originally, Sister Location always existed since the beginning. There has always not been one location in this franchise. So this game does end up leaving us with a few hanging threads as well though. We have Ballora, who apparently is possessed, but the mystery regarding who she is up for debate. The leading theory seems to be that she is in some way connected to Mrs. Afton. Baby notes that she is intelligent, and the fact that her song's lyrics seem to imply some form of connection to the lore may in fact help us to understand that she is in fact someone that is important to the plot. We also see briefly Yendo, a funtime endoskeleton with yellow eyes that appears and gives us another of our long line of random endoskeletons that just appears within the franchise. We also see briefly that the original spirits of the original animatronics flicker within this facility, and so it is entirely possible that the original spirits of the dead children are somehow present here. It is noted that Baby calls out 1578 within the game, yet it has never been elaborated upon what this actually is. It is interesting to note that in the source code of Scott Games, which reveals schedules of the animatronics for this location, there are 3 bookings that we can see. One is for Chica's Party World, one is for a private party, and the third is for an unknown event, which has been listed as CRMN INST/project. Now what is this meant to be? Because we have notably seen that throughout the code on this page that the words are merely missing letters in most instances, mostly vowels. So what can we expand this into? Because the best I could come up with, rather than most people saying it's criminal institute, I would say that it's ceremony in situ, aka a ceremony in the facility is being taking place. What exactly this ceremony is still up for debate. Another fun fact that we see here as well is that the service logs for the animatronics are notably performed by Afton Robotics. So that is Sister Location, and in the next video I'm going to return to the novel series with the Twisted Ones, which, although I know is not considered canon, the lore that it gives us can help to further explain the lore in the games, and so I'm trying to see if it can fit into the canon. And as such, we are going to continue to explore the mysteries surrounding items such as the small metal disc that we removed from Funtime Freddy.